Hallelujah. Good morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome back to Voice in the Wilderness, a channel dedicated to lifting up and elevating Jehovah, the Spirit of Jehovah, all things God. And welcome back on this very special day to our study in prophecy, CY slash prophecy, SY, teaching slash forthtelling in today's time, in this modern era. Amen. And if you were following along, we talked about a lot of stuff. Okay, we talked about a lot of stuff. Last week, I think we ended in first chapter in Daniel. And so this week, before I go back to that first chapter, because there are some things I want to make sure that we understand. There are some things that I want to kind of go over to make sure that we understand this idea that is being purported today, right? About who we are as a people, as a race, R-A-C-E, I'm not talking about race as far as skin color. I'm talking about human race, humanity. And to re-emphasize the simple truths, simple things. It's weird and it's funny how human beings are preeminent on the earth in terms of rank and and we, because of that, we are trying to put ourselves even higher. Think about the idea of how did we even come to be? And we think we can answer that. And so we go into depths of discussions and conversations and research to tell how we as human beings came to be on the earth, how the earth came to be. And a lot of us refuse just to believe the simple truth. There is a creator who created everything, and even us. It's simple, but yet still it's profound in the sense that we can't just accept that. So in our quest for knowledge and for finding out all these things, we come up with all kinds of, oh man, that's my early rant. I want to welcome you again. Today we want to start in 2 Thessalonians. We want to go back there. And I'll give you time to get there if you haven't gotten there because you didn't know. But we go in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Today is the 4th of July in the US. And 4th of July is not a quote-unquote God-given holiday, a God holiday. You know what I'm saying? God has his times and feasts. And his set times and feast, Sabbath and Pentecost and, Sukkot and all those things. But today is the 4th of July. And the 4th of July, I don't know about you, but for me, the 4th of July bears some real serious significance, right? I don't want to get too much into detail, but there was a time in my life when I was going through some things in a marriage, and after everything was dissolved and my ex went back to her grandparents' state, I was left to clean up the mess. And I had a few days. This happened in July. And I had to clean up this 2-bedroom apartment. I mean, clean it, move everything, get everything out, and give it back to the landlord. In a lot of instances, I was by myself, but I cannot forget that in a lot of other instances, I had help. Help from a good brother who I was working with at the time. His name is Al. I'll leave that there. Even my boss at the time and her kids jumped in and pitched in. But all that to say that I accomplished the task of getting this 2-bedroom apartment that was full of furniture set and ready to turn it back over to the landlord. And you know what day that was? It was the 4th of July. Okay? I'm not going to give you the year, but it was a long time ago. It was the 4th of July. And I remember I was using my job's van to help me move the stuff to the dump and all these other places, Goodwill and stuff like that. And on the morning, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I had to go park the van back at its location, retrieve my car, and come home. And on my way home, it dawned on me, this is the 4th of July. This is the 4th of July, okay? And I was dead beat, tired. When I tell you tired, I drove home and I pulled up in my new apartment because I was cleaning out one apartment and moving into another. And when I finished cleaned out the one apartment, it was probably 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? So I had to catch myself, and then I had to drive the van to the location, park it up, take my car, and go to my new location. And I got to my new location, my new apartment. I pulled up in my parking spot, and I realized it's the 4th of July. It was the 4th of July. The day the sun was just rising, the dawn was just breaking, and it was unbelievable. And I unlocked my door, walked into my apartment, and all I could do, I was so tired, people. I was so tired. All I could have done, I had to find, because I didn't set up my new apartment in no way, shape, or form. Everything was just there in a pile in the middle of the living room. And, you know, the bedroom stuff was in the bedroom, but the bed wasn't put together or anything. No mattress, nothing, none of that. All I could do when I opened that door and walked in was find a spot in the living room, find a spot on the carpet in the living room, and plop down. And I plopped down between 2 dressers. And I laid down there and went, just walked out to sleep. The 4th of July is an important day. It speaks to the independence of a nation or a country, right? Because you know me, nations for me doesn't just mean land, right? Nations for me is people. Because this country is full of different people. You know, that's why we have to call it a country, not a nation per se, right? Anyway, it's independence. And people love this day. Americans love this day, and I love this day with them. Because on that morning the story I just told, I recognized something. I recognized that I was free of something that I was in that was like a prison, and I'm not demeaning the institution of marriage. That's not what I'm doing, okay? But remember, that's how life is. People, get themselves in situations, and situations turn out to be horrendous, and you have to work it out. Sometimes it doesn't work out the way you want it to, right? Because you're dealing with another individual. And unfortunately, I cannot control another individual. The only individual I can control is this. And then sometimes I even can't control me, okay? So, just so you know. Anyway, long story short, independence, the 4th of July, represents independence. I forgot to put in my earphone. So forgive me if I as I do that. Right? 4th of July is independence. Freedom, if you will. But freedom from what? Freedom from what? Right? And where we are going into today, we will see how this little rant in the first 10 minutes, first 12 minutes of this teaching, we will see how this little rant about me and my Independence Day and my experience, whatever, how it ties into this idea of freedom, this idea of liberation, this idea of control, this idea of rules and laws, this idea of creation, this idea that we were created, this idea that the earth was created. Because according to Genesis 1, are you in 2 Thessalonians, by the way? 2 Thessalonians 2, you should be there by now. According to Genesis, the simple story in Genesis 1, the earth in Genesis 1, verse 2, the earth was without form and it was void. It was in disarray, disorder. No laws, no rules, no regulations. Nothing is governing anything. Oh, God. Wait a second. Where's my... No, oh, there we go. Right? The whole world was in disorder. It was without form and void. Void. Okay? Void. There was nothing. And it had nothing. There was nothing in it. When you look at it, it was... I don't know what it looked like, but guess what? It was nothing. And the Bible, the written narrative in Genesis, says that darkness was on the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over that darkness. Okay? And then God began to what? What did God begin to do? What did the written narrative say that God began to do? God began to put order to the disorder. God began to institute rules, laws to the lawless, to the unruled universe. Spoke to the light obeyed. Spoke to the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, every single entity that was created in the Genesis narrative obeyed. They just understood for some reason, somehow, they understood, oh, okay, he told the waters, roll back and the land to come up And guess what? The water said, okay, no problem. I'm going to roll back. And guess what? Today, this 4th of July, 2021, go and stand by on the seashore and look out at the oceans. Go by the riverside, by the lakes. Look out at the water and ask yourself this question. Why this water doesn't come any further? How come under normal conditions, okay? We ain't trying to get too deep right now. Under normal conditions, the seas, the waves tumble in, hit the shore, and they tumble back out. What in the world is that? That, my friends, my believing friends and my unbelieving friends, is order. Because the seas are obeying the rule that is laid out for them to allow the earth to be. See, you all ain't trying to hear me today. You all ain't trying to hear me. The stars are in their place. Why? Because they were told, go up there, be there, light shine in the night. The moon was given authority over the darkness at night. The sun was given authority over the daytime. Everybody heard. Everybody obeyed. And when I say everybody, I'm talking about the unvoiced entities. Those entities that can't speak with words, but speak in what they do day after day after day. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. God is the one who did all of this. But today and over time, there's an entity that keeps bubbling up. Okay? Like a little puddle of, when the water first started to boil. If you stand over a pot of water, you put it on the stove and you stand over it and watch it through its process of heating up and coming to a boil. The first, when you begin to see the first little bubble, okay, time is near. Time what? Time for the boil is near. Because you see the first little bubble and the second one and then the third one, right? And if you stay there long enough, you begin to see the bubbles getting bigger, and next thing you know, the water begins to move, and next thing you know, you see this action in the pot. The bubbles just keep popping up from below and turning over, right? And we know the water is boiling. I hope somebody's hearing the Spirit of God out there this morning. But this verse, we're going straight to the verse. The Apostle Paul writes a letter, his second, to the church in Thessalonica, and he says in Thessalonians 2, verse 7, for the mystery of lawlessness doth already work. It's already there. It's been bubbling for years, from Genesis. It's been bubbling. Little bubble, little bubble, little bubble, little bubble, little bubble. It's been bubbling. But guess what it is? Boiling yet. The water is not boiling yet. Because there is one that's restrained. So God has the temperature kind of like real low, so the water can't really get to that point. Oh gosh, listen. I love my Father, Jehovah. I love him. And when I read and I hear, and when I begin to speak and more comes, it's phenomenal. Listen. It is phenomenal how it unfolds, okay? And I just sit back in my heart and in my mind and watch how it unfolds, because sometimes I can't even believe that it's unfolding the way it is unfolding. It's phenomenal in how he operates, how he is. All this wisdom is him. So, until he be taken out, verse 7, and then shall be revealed the lawless one, or the man of lawlessness, or the son of perdition, whom our Messiah Yeshua shall slay with the breath of his mouth. Listen. How is he going to slay him? With the breath of his mouth. What comes out with the breath of a mouth? Words. Yeshua, Messiah, Jehovah, all he has to do is speak a word and slay the lawless one. Bring him to an end with a word. All words. With the breath of his mouth. And you gone, bro. Because you ain't nothing. Okay? So, then shall the lawless one be revealed. This lawless one is the son of perdition, the man of sin. But he's not lawless. In the sense that the word lawless is trying to attribute itself. Right? The son of perdition is not lawless. Hold it. The son of perdition is lawless when it comes to God's law. See? That's what makes him, that's what makes you, perhaps, that's what makes me, perhaps, sons of perdition, lawless ones, is that we don't want to follow Yah's law or Jehovah's law or God's law. No, we want to follow our own or somebody else's law who doesn't ascribe to Jehovah, who doesn't ascribe to the Creator, who doesn't give God all honor and glory in what he created and who he created. No. But, as I said before, nothing in creation exists in a vacuum. Why? Because God took care of that in Genesis 1. He made everything. He put it in order. He set everything in its order. That's why the earth continued to reproduce trees. The earth continues to bring forth fruit from the ground. Right? The animals continue to multiply. Human beings continue to multiply. The sun continues to shine. The oceans that we just talked about continue to roll up to the earth and roll back out to the ocean. Roll up to the earth and roll back out. Everything that was created continued to perform as it was directed to perform. Only difficulty is us. Why are we the only ones who fight God? You know why? Because we are the only ones who use words. Animals understand words, but they don't use words. Trees understand words, but they don't use words. The ocean understands that when a ship is launched, it has to accept that ship. Right? That's how they launch ships. Break a bottle of champagne and however they do, push it out. And it falls into the ocean and it next thing you know, it's like, okay, here we are. Woo, boy. Here we are. The ocean just receives it. Why? Because he's got no choice. He has to. That's what he did. That's what he does. Every entity, think about an entity. Think about something that disobeys the light switch. If I flick it, the light is supposed to come on. That's why we put it in. That's why you put it in. It's just us. We are the ones who are hard-headed. We are the ones who just refuse to accept the simple truth that, listen, you were created. Just follow the instructions of your creator. How come a man builds a table or a chair, right? Designed for people to sit on, or designed for people to roll around like I'm on a rolling chair, right? How come the chair doesn't say, I don't want to roll. Don't roll me, man. Maxie, don't roll me, okay? You just sit your butt down and don't move. How come the chair can't talk back to me? You know why? Because I'm master of the chair. The chair can't talk. I can. I can hold the chair by its arm and pull it over to me. The chair cannot fight back. You might say, well, man, you talking crap because all these things, of course they can't, because they're inanimate. Well, that's exactly the point I'm making. How come the animals don't accept who they are? The lion doesn't say, I don't want to be a lion, I just want to be a tiger. Hey, Mr. Tiger, can I be you? They don't. There's no. The concept is not even in the mind, in the brain of an animal to honor. I don't like being a jaguar no more. I just want to be a duck. Can I be a duck, please? But we are the ones who continually insist that we gonna be whatever we gonna be outside auspices of the Creator, and that right there is lawlessness. That right there is lawlessness. Another word for lawlessness is sinfulness. What did John say? Men love darkness. Where was darkness? Darkness was on the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the darkness. So the darkness was subjected to something. See, darkness can never rule. It can never rule. It can try to rule, but it can never rule. Why? Because God deemed it so. Read the Genesis account. It's simple. It's easy. Read it. Just accept it. Just believe it because it's true. You can't change it. I don't care how much degrees from the scientific university you have. I was listening this morning to Russell Brand. He have a little podcast on YouTube. And I was listening to something that they talk about, something with Einstein. Something that Einstein had theorized, hypothesized, or however you call it, that was so about dark matter. It's proven now. Other scientists are saying, I think Einstein might have been wrong. I'm like, and it was so funny. You know why? Here, why it was funny, because all these scientists are speaking, right? Dr. whatever and Dr. whomever, saying all these phenomenal things, talking about there are 10 billion stars in the universe. How in the heck, forgive my language, how do we know, how do you know, sir, Mr. Scientist, that there are 10 billion stars in the universe? How do you know that? Did you count them? When God told Abraham, look at the sand on the seashore, and if you can count them, count if you can. You can count the sand on the seashore, but that you could pick up and feel in your hand, but you say that in the universe out there, there are 10 billion stars. See? And you know what? Ooh, because it's science, people just be like, yeah, 10 billion stars. We have no clue how much stars in the heavens. We have no clue. 10 billion might be too much. 10 billion might not be close to even being enough. But we hypothesize all these foolishness and teach it in schools and colleges, and guess what? People just believe it, soak it up, and go about saying the same thing, repeat it. To the point where at the end of it was a 10-minute little clip that he showed, one of the scientists who worked with Einstein, who is, because Einstein died, one of the scientists who is alive and who worked with Einstein is now fearing that, oh my God, all my life's work is over. He spent his whole life. And that's what he's pondering on. His life's work is in jeopardy. Oh my God. What did Yeshua say about storing up treasures in heaven that moth and dust can't touch? He is concerned that his life's work is in jeopardy because other scientists are now seeing that whatever theory Einstein had pertaining to the dark matter that's in the universe that we think we know all about, it's not what he said it's supposed to be. It looks like it's showing different patterns. And now, oh my God. So what am I saying? What's my point? We were created by a superior creator, right? I used to love to watch Kung Fu movies, right? Still do. But when I used to go to high school, when I was in school, my younger days, we used to be in the movie theaters every weekend because movies was just coming out. Kung Fu movies, right? Shaolin, Lama versus all kinds of Shaolin temple movies, and I loved it. And in some of these movies, there's always a teacher and a pupil, a teacher and a pupil kind of thing. And it's funny how the pupil always tried to outdo the teacher. He comes real good. He's a master, but yet still the teacher has something on him. The teacher always knows a little more. The teacher always knows some technique that he never knew of, and if he finds out, it's always find out after the teacher is dead and gone, or in the death of the teacher, or something like that. But it's funny because that's a depiction of the teacher being Yehovah and we being the pupil. And we are fighting so much to be better than the teacher. We are fighting so hard to be more than the teacher that we are reducing ourselves to nothingness, right? Just by avoiding simple things that the teacher is showing us, is trying to lead us through and to. We just refuse. So the mystery of lawlessness is working. It's working. It's already at work, right? I'm getting ready to flip over to Daniel. For those of you who wondering what's going on. Daniel chapter 1, yeah. Right? The mystery of law, it has been from the get-go. Why? Because it was lawless, or it was in disorder, or it was, there's a stretch, but I'm going to say it, sinful, if you will, from the very beginning. And Jehovah took that and made it into something, put order to it, if you will. So the lawless one, see, Paul goes on to say the law, he knows himself already, he knows who he is, right? The one that's going to be appointed to rule this quote unquote lawless. But again, it's not lawless, it's sinful. So you know what? I'm gonna use that word instead, because I think that word is gonna bring it home more. So this one who knows who he is waiting to be appointed as the ruler of the sinfulness of the world. Okay, the sinfulness of this world. He's waiting. His time ain't yet. You know why? Because the upright people, the people who are upholding God and upholding his rule and his laws and his love and all these things, they're waging war. We waging war. We still fighting. But when it's ready, and according to the prophecies, the foretelling, when the time of the Gentiles has fully come. What is that? What is the time of the Gentiles? When everybody is in their appropriate place for the show to start. Right? Then, so, we ain't going into that one yet. So here we have this man of lawlessness, the sinful man, this man full of sin. He just hates God. He just wants people to just do whatever they want to do. Right? Do what you want. It's your body. Your choice. Wave your flag. Do what you want. It's your world. Like, I was watching The Matrix yesterday. Right? You know, with the Matrix boy. It's my world. It's my world. It's mine, all mine. Like that. Sylvester. Mine, all mine. Daffy Duck or whatever it was. Right? No. This is sinfulness. You thinking that you could do whatever you choose to do. Anytime you choose to do it. That's what was going on in Genesis 6. Where these mighty men, right? The rich and famous. The people with all the power and all the authority and all the wealth. The rulers, the leaders of all the communities and all the peoples. People who were put in charge of other people. And these people, these men were so wicked and evil, they wanted to do whatever they want. And what did they do? They took for themselves whatever. Oh, a nice girl. She could be 3 years old. I want her. Give me that. I'm gonna take that. That's mine. I'm gonna take that. And it's happening today. I'm telling you. It is happening today where adult human beings are messing around with babies, kids, innocents. I'm telling you, you all have hell to pay. And I ain't scared to say it. You all have hell to pay when the fiery one comes and he breathes on you. You have hell to pay. Because it's wicked, it's evil, and if you don't see that wicked and evil, then so anyway, that's what was going on in Genesis 6, which we talked about at length in other teachings. It's a principle here I wanna explore this principle of when people have evil in their hearts, that's what they perpetuate. They perpetuate wickedness and evil because it's in their heart. Out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if all your perceiving and your perceptions are against God, they are for evil, that's all you're going to speak and that's all you're going to do. No matter where you are. Okay? And as you go up in society, maybe because your community decide to elect you as a leader because they see some leadership qualities in you, foregoing your wicked ways, they put you, all of a sudden use the community leader, all of a sudden use the mayor, all of a sudden use the councilman, all of a sudden use the senator, all of a sudden next thing you know, use the president. But you're wicked and evil. And you're going to perpetuate that continually. That's what we're talking about, because that is the epitome of the sinful one. Hold on a second. Let's go back in Thessalonians 2. Let's go back in Thessalonians 2. In verse 9 it says, whose coming is according to the working of the adversary, right? I'm going to use that word adversary in there. An adversary is somebody who stands up against authority. Any kind of authority, right? If you're standing up against God, you are an adversary. If you're standing up against the devil, guess what? You're an adversary, but you're his adversary. You see what I'm saying? So it matters. What's more important is, who are you adversarial to what? If a woman is standing up against her husband, she's an adversary. She's his adversary. She's not his partner. She is his adversary. Okay? The Malach of God who came to Balak, he came as an adversary to stand up against Balak. When you stand against something, you, ma'am, you, sir, are an adversary to that thing. Okay? So, verse 9 in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says, even whose coming is according to the working of the adversary with all power and signs and lying wonders. So, this adversary purports himself to be this mastermind of goodness, of godliness, of holiness, of righteousness, of truth, but instead just lies and deceives and continues to deceive. That's what he is in his heart. See? But he put on this camouflage like the wolf in the sheep clothing kind of thing. He put on this camouflage to think for you to all these nice words. He's so pleasant. Oh, he talks so fine. Oh, man, he's so sweet and awesome. Oh, man, I want to vote him because he is. Look at how he looks. He's so dressed fine. He's tall, dark, and handsome. Oh, wow, so gorgeous, such a gorgeous woman. Such a awesome looking man. Look at, oh, yeah, bam, bam, boom. And in his heart, that person that you putting up on that pedestal is a ravenous wolf. Excuse me, let me drink some water. So, as we said, signs and lying wonders, and with all deceit, oh, didn't I just say that? With all deceit of unrighteousness for them that perish. People who support and advocate and fund and give credence to and give time and whatever else to all these unrighteous things and groups and entities and businesses and all these unrighteous things that are now rearing their heads, right? I talk about the biggest prophet right now in the world, the most revered prophet in the world is the big screen on the wall, okay? Or it's the little screen in your hand, okay? Or it's a little bigger screen on your tabletop, or the little bigger screen in your hand, right? The phone, the tablet, the television. All why? Because you could go on that, man. You could get knowledge from afar. You could tap into somebody in India talking some kind of stuff. Man, and if you want to go with that, you go with it. We back to Daniel. So in order for sinfulness to come up to the surface, like the water is boiling, because it's been simmering for it's been just on a slow roll for generations, for eons of time. It's just the heat is under there, and it's you know what? Like lava. That's how it's been going. And now when the heat is turned up, it's going a little faster. And a little faster and a little faster. And what happens eventually is going to start to tumble over, and then everybody will, guess what? It's too late. The water is at optimum temperature, and everything now is just tumbling over. Sounds like disorder, right? Yes. When it's just tumbling over, hot water's just flying out at you. If you stand up there watching it, it's coming up at you to burn you, right? God, I hope somebody's getting this. See, evil people, if they don't ascribe to God, if they don't ascribe to God's law, they're going to perpetuate evil. And that includes those of us who claim to be believers. We talk about the teaching that says that the law of God is null and void, that we don't have to do the law. All that is old, that is back in the day. We in the 21st, 22nd century. We don't have to do all this old stuff. Who said that? Where you read that? What? Did God change his mind? Did he change his mind? It's the same God who says, I change not. That's God we're talking about. But yet we say we believe this God. You see what I'm saying? Oh, God is love. But we pervert love and we still call it God. No. No, things we pervert, God calls abomination. He calls it that. We pervert it. We operate in perversiveness. And we call that, oh, God just had to accept me for what? Oh, yeah? Okay. So we in Daniel chapter 1. And we talk about what happened in Daniel chapter 1. We talk about the fact that this king was given authority from who? From God. To go into Jerusalem and besiege it. This king from a false God-worshipping nation. Right? Remember, the nation whose God is Jehovah, blessed is that nation, upright is that nation. Okay? This nation, with this king named Nebuchadnezzar, he worshipped false idols. But God, in his sovereign authority, didn't ask you permission. Didn't ask the children of Israel permission. He get with Nebuchadnezzar and be like, they acting a fool over there. You say God had to accept you for who you are? Well, if God had to accept you for who you are, then this God he knew God. Because he didn't accept the Israelites for who they were. And I bet you if he didn't accept that, he's not going to accept you for what you say you're doing and thinking that he have to accept it. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to tell it to your face. But this God didn't accept what they did. He's not going to accept what you do. If it's not according to his will. The children of Israel was acting a fool, being disobedient, doing what they wanted to do. Yeah, God got with Nebuchadnezzar and said, go do what you want. And that's what he did. And in addition to that, he went into the temple that God gave the authority to erect. Besides that, took all the fine jewels. And look how people operate, right? We're talking about leaders who are wicked. And when we start to get into the Kings, when we start to go deeper and deeper into this, we will see in the book of Kings and in Chronicles and in Samuel how people become kings and they are wicked as the adversary. And people become kings and they're good. Right? One of the greatest kings that ever lived is a man called King David. He was a man after God's own heart. He was not perfect. He did wickedness. He was punished for it. If David, who was a king, did evil in the sight of God and he was punished, what do you think me and you gonna get, sir or ma'am? You think God's gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna let him slide? You think so, huh? Anyway, this king, this ungodly king, appoints this man who is over these eunuchs. And listen to the idea, okay? Listen to how evil perpetuates itself. He looks for young minds, nice looking boys, strong looking, muscular, handsome even, well dressed even, well spoken even. There must be no defect. That sounds funny. That sounds like a sacrifice to me. God said, don't bring no sacrifice. Make sure there are no defects. That's what they're doing. This the same thing. We don't want no boys with defects. No boys with limps. And no boys with 1 foot, half a foot air. No. We want youths in whom was no blemish. Daniel chapter 1 verse 4. No blemish, but well favored. Okay? Good looking, good size, healthy looking, sturdy, strong, handsome, well dressed, good what? Looking, well favored, skillful in wisdom. So when they talk, you hear something. Oh, that person looks like he got some sense. Okay, let's bring him in. Let's go for that one. Let's go. What about his friends? Oh, Shadrach, me. Oh, let's bring them in. Come on. And listen, man, this is so sweet. We talked about it last week. I'm gonna just throw it in here parenthetically. I love that word. Give them little bits of the king's dainties. You know, a little girl here, a little girl there. You know what I'm saying? Little jewelry here, little jewelry there. And fine food, the best slabs of meat, well roasted and cooked and succulent. I could taste it while I'm talking about it. It's so good. It's the epitome of what they do, right? They bring you in and they give you a taste of the money. Hey, come on, I want you to sign. Oh, you can rap? Okay, I want you to sign this contract here. I'll give you $1 million up front. Cash, no problem. It's all yours. Do whatever you want with it. But sign this contract though. Okay? Now, you don't have to read the fine print. It's okay. Just sign the contract. We can put out some songs. It's all good. I got you. I got you, man. I got you. I got your back. The music industry is one of the most corrupted and wicked industries in the world. Drugs, sex, and money. I'm telling you. Wicked, okay? And is ran by some of the most wicked people They don't, because again, mighty men. These are the mighty men in the world today. They got money. Money answers everything. So this man goes into the Israelite community that is in captivity at this point and pulls out these young, handsome, debonair-looking men, well-spoken and so on and so on. No blemishes. Changes the name, okay? Gives them a whole different name. No. You and Daniel no more. You is, what was Daniel's name? In verse 7, Belteshazzar. See? We give you a name according to where we from, not where you from. Okay, similar to what happened in during the slave trade, right? Listen, it's a principle. It didn't just happen to us. Okay? It happened to every segment of humanity. Listen, it's not about race. It's about perception. It's about rules and laws that people who are in authority, they set those rules and laws. They think they could do what they want. That's what it is. It had nothing to do with your skin color, bro. It had nothing to do with your skin color. So they changed the name of the four boys, the main cast in this story. Daniel, his name is Belteshazzar. To Hananiah, Shadrach. To Mishael, Meshach. And to Azariah, he's a bad Negro. A bad Negro. I love that. Bad Negro. See, when it comes to rules and laws, people, again, I can't say this enough, okay? When darkness, when wickedness, when wicked people, when dark people, when people with false perceptions of God and false perceptions of life and of the world, when they rise up in authority or in places of authority, the rules and laws have to change according to how they see it. That's what they will do. They will do it. And you can look out at the world and you can see how it affects generations, peoples, cultures, and countries. Okay? Because these people who in authority, these mighty men, all these billionaires and millionaires and trillionaires, presidents and governors and senators, if they do not uphold the rule of law, the rule of God's law, they will uphold the rule of their own law. How they think it should be. I don't care if your name is ACO, AOC. They defund the police. Listen, all of that is just camouflage. Why? Because what they really want is to institute their own rules. How they perceive life should be. And do you think that they're going to perceive it that they should be at the bottom again? That they got to go back and work in the restaurant again? That they had to go and sweep the street again? No. No. I come from that. I ain't going back. No, they're not going to purport that. They're not going to perpetuate that. If they do not ascribe to the rules and principles and laws of the Creator, They're going to institute their own rules and laws and make way for the man of sin to rise up and execute those laws. Make sure that these people understand, I am the man. Dan is the man in the van. Right? There's an old calypso from a guy called Mighty Sparrow. He had a calypso named Dan is the man in the van. Okay? And when he comes up, by that time, it's going to be so sinful, he's going to be looked at, oh, here comes the sinful king. The man of lawlessness. But it has been going on, as Apostle said, since the beginning. It's already at work. The mystery of sinfulness is already being perpetuated. Look in the world, look on the TV, look at companies, Disney and all of them. Look at what is being perpetuated, and there you have it. Don't take my word for it. Listen to what God is saying and watch at the fruit that's being produced. So in this time, this king, Nebuchadnezzar, worshiped false idols. It's amazing, because as we go on in the story, we'll see something, and I don't want to go there yet. The point I want to make is verse 8. If you don't ascribe to God's law and God's rule, if you believe some of these lies, if you believe the lies, guess what? The lies are designed to draw you away. Remember, the man of lawlessness, he is the man after all deceitfulness of unrighteousness. All deceitfulness of all unrighteousness. So he is at the helm of it all. Anything that's deceitful, anything that's unrighteous, anything that's sinful, there are people appointed, okay? And they are appointed to bring other people with them. So they're going to stand up on the pulpit in front of their 50,000 congregation church and say, we don't have to do God's law no more. That was the Old Testament. That was way back in that day. Now all we have to do is just love one another. After all, God is love. And on all these rules hang on the one. As long as you love God, as long as you love your brother man, you can hang all the rules, all the laws on these two, because on them these two hang, and you could be all right. Just love. And God is sitting in heaven and he's laughing at the stupid, foolish ideals and ideologies of these people, because they are lying through their teeth. They deceive themselves. They deceive you. They try to deceive me. They try to deceive you. And guess what? People just buy into it. Just buy into it. So I'm coming down to Miami and the stadium is packed out because they want to hear what the false prophets say. Just love. It's okay if they want to wave the colorful flag. As long as you love, just love. It's okay if they want to go change who they are into who they're not. It's okay, just love. Don't call it out. Don't say nothing against it. You gotta love. And they perpetuate the lie. They give fire to the lie, right? And the water is bubbling. The water is bubbling. It's just bubbling in the pot. It's just bubbling. It's just bubbling. And every so often, a bubble is gonna come big and want to just pop his head up and be like, hey, I am gonna run for president. I was a woman, now I'm a man. I was a man, now I'm a woman. I want to run for president. Wait. What? What did you say? Wait. So go back up. You say you was a no. You can't be my. No, you can't be my president. What? No, because when you get there, you guess what you're gonna perpetuate. Oh, you're getting the point now, huh? But Daniel chapter 1 verse 8. But Daniel purposed in his heart. You see, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. So, but Daniel purposed in his where? In his heart. That he would not, what? Defile himself. I want to ask a question. Are you defiling yourself? Are you defiling yourself? Have you been defiling yourself? Daniel purposed in his heart that he's not going to defile himself, because Daniel believed, Daniel understood. Daniel's perception was of the point in saying, no, you ain't gonna bribe me away from my God. You ain't gonna lure me away from my God with your money and your influence and your nice suit and your big car and your Rolls Royce and your Mercedes Benz. No. You ain't gonna influence me away from my God. If you want me, you have to accept me and my God. So he purposed in his heart not to defile himself with the king's bribery, nor with the other spirit. You know, wine is a mocker and strong drink is raging, right? Those who love it, or those who are fooled by it. See, God never, in all the written words, he never tell you, don't drink wine or don't drink liquor. But he gives you, he say, listen, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging. If you go drinking it and think you could just go drink it, and be careful. So, but you know what they taught in church and probably still do? You drink wine, you're a sinner. You take a drink of vodka, you're a sinner. You drink a beer, oh man, you're the worst sinner. Sin. You know what I say? Lie. No. Am I saying to go and sit down and drink? No. Listen to what I'm saying. It's not forbidden. So if you tell me it's forbidden, you're lying. What did Yeshua say? What sets you free, sir, ma'am? What did Yeshua say that sets you free? The truth. So if you tell the truth, people are going to be set free. But nobody from that persuasion, people don't want to tell the truth. They prefer to make you believe a lie with the hope that the lie would keep you straight. That's evil. As simple as that is what evil is. Evil is telling somebody a lie and purporting it to be the truth. That's evil. And I don't care who says it or who does it, it's still evil. You understand what I'm saying? You refuse to tell the truth according to what the written narrative says, according to what God says. You prefer to take the truth and lie towards that in the hope that people take it and believe it. No. God never tell people, don't drink, but you better don't drink that liquor because that you're going to be a sinner. Nowhere in the written narrative. But there, he warns you. He says, listen, wine is a mocker and strong drink is raging. He says, don't stare at the glass until your eyes get red. Proverbs, bro. You better go read the book of Proverbs. He said, when you sit at the king's table, put a knife to your throat. Can't go and sit down with the king and eat like a glutton or just talk any kind of old foolishness. Because guess who is at the table? The king. And I want you to understand that when you talk about a king, the king is in absolute control, or he's supposed to be in absolute control of his kingdom. And whatever the king says, it's executed. Go back to Genesis 1. The king is hovering over the surface of the darkness, which is on the surface of the deep. And the king says, let there be light. And guess what light did? Light says, my king calls me and I have to go. Listen, people, this thing is simple. It is simple. But we don't like simple. See, because we humans, we created in the image of God, and we have all this wisdom and knowledge because we eat from the tree of the fruit, the tree of knowledge. We so wise in our own ways that we refuse to believe the simplicity of God. Yeshua said, take my yoke upon you. For my yoke is easy. My burden is light. No, we don't want that yoke. We want to know everything. We got to know everything. But God says, well, the secret thing belong to me. And the things that are revealed belong to you. So you cannot know everything, ma'am, sir. I don't know everything. I cannot. It's impossible. Because he says some things are secret and it's only he will know. And then some things are revealed and then you will know that. And then it says in Proverbs, it is a king's duty to search out a thing. Or something like that. Or it's a king's mentality who searches out a thing. Doesn't mean he's going to find out. But he could go search it out. See, no, we don't want to accept that we the student. We don't want to accept that we the pupil and we have a teacher. We have a master. We don't want that relationship. We want to be a master. We want to be the master. Or up there with him. We want to go and sit on the throne. That's what we want as human beings. That's what we're fighting for. We're fighting a losing battle. Listen, if that's the battle you're fighting a losing battle. Listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Do you understand them? You, ma'am, if that's how I'm thinking, if that's how the brother they're thinking, you are fighting, we are fighting a losing battle. We lost and we don't even know. Listen, just give up. and say, you know what? Let me go back to my master's house. Because guess what? Even if I am a servant there, I'm going to still eat good. Even if I just serve, I'm going to still eat good. I'm going to be warm. I'm not going to be soaking wet in the rain. I ain't going to be in the pig pen with the mud and the crap that the pig's eating. I'm going to be in the master's house. What did David say? I'd rather be a doorstep or a doormat in the master's house than be a king at the other table over there. Listen. People, it's simple. It's simple. If you're not for God, you're against Him. And the only way you can be for Him is to obey His rules, is to live by His rules. It's the typical line that every father I know, every father probably you know, maybe your father told you, and maybe your father's father told him. It's a typical line that fathers use towards their children. And it's so simple. Son, it's my house. It's my rules. If you don't like it, go get your own house and set your own rules. That's what I used to tell my two sons. I'm paying the bills. I'm buying the food. I am doing everything here. I am maintaining this house. It's my law or it's my rules. And if you don't like it, which I'm telling you, you don't have to like it. But if you don't understand, you have to leave and go out and get your own house. And guess what? In your own house, when you get it, you're going to have rules. I guarantee it. Whether it's allowing the house to be open and people come and do what they want, it's still going to be your rule. And that's the point I want to make. That's the point I'm making. Okay? If it's not God's rule, it is going to be some other rule, some other law, some other precept, some other principle, some other instruction that we have to follow. Why not just follow His own? Why make it so difficult for ourselves? Why? Long ago, when I used to live in Miami, I had a license plate frame. Right? The frame that the license plate go in. And I bought it at a Christian bookstore. At the time I was into Christianity and everything. And I went to a Christian bookstore and I saw this frame, and I was like, oh, here's what the frame said. I loved it, and I think I sold the car and I sold the frame with the car. Here's what the frame said. It was written on the outside of the frame in white. Black frame with white writing. Here's what the sign said. The writing said, if you believe there is no God, you had better be right. It was such a phenomenal statement. And I saw it and I bought it immediately because if you believe there is no God, if you believe you is the God, you better be right. You had better be right. So here is Daniel, who was taken captive by these ungodly, false worshiping people. False God worshiping people, I should say. Right? They took him and his 3 friends and brought them in. And the plan was, let's give them all these fine things. Why? Because we want to hold sway to their way of thinking. We want to hold sway to their perception. We want them to see things the way we want them to see things. Does that sound familiar? We don't want them to see things the way they used to see things where they came from. We want them to see things the way we want to see things. And we talk about the favor that Daniel got from God, right? Through God to this eunuch, right? The head of the eunuchs. We talked about the favor last week. And the plan was, Daniel told the man, listen, we don't want to eat them fancy stuff. Just give us some regular food, some lentils and vegetables and stuff, right? They call it porridge, right? Just give us, in this version it says pulse, it calls it pulse. Like some pulverized beans and, like vegan stuff, right? Let's just call it that, all right? More power to the vegan people, okay? And then after 10 days, before we go to see the king, give us 10 days, feed them over there the dainties, feed us the pulse, and then in 10 days, bring us all for examination, like he's a doctor. Check us out, see if there's any blemish in us, or any blemish on our son. And after the 10 days came, and they presented themselves to the head of the eunuch people. The written narrative say, in verse 15, Daniel chapter 1, at the end of the 10 days, their countenances appeared fairer. This narrative says, their countenances appeared fairer than they were, and they were fatter in flesh than the youth that did eat of the king's dainties. So they ate bowls of mush. The other people ate all the fine dining stuff. And 10 days, they all came together. And the people who ate the mush, the 4 people who ate mush, looked way better than all the people who ate the king's stuff, right? That says a lot right there. But let's move on. So at the end of days that the king had appointed, we in verse 18. No, sorry, my bad. Whoa, my bad. I skipped through some important things. Verse 16. So the steward took away their dainties and the wine that they should have been drinking, and continued to give them pulse. This narrative say pulse, porridge, lentil, stew, whatever your narrative says. Okay, so Daniel and his 3 friends, they took away all. They say, don't feed them. No, they look better than them. Don't give them none of that stuff. Give them this, because that look like it's working for them. So give them that. Feed the rest. Now, for all these 4 youth, these Daniel and his 4 friends, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, God, it says in the narrative, gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Who gave them the knowledge again? God. Who was giving them the knowledge in the garden? God. How did Adam name all these animals without even knowing what they are? God. So, what's the fight about? Why are we still fighting him? Why we still insist that we're the ones with all the knowledge? verse 18, at the end of the days which the king had appointed for bringing them in, the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before the king. Remember, he is the king, okay? The king has sole authority in a kingdom. King could do whatever he choose, okay? Ask Esther. If you read the book of Esther, here's some, I'm telling you. And you have to fear the king. Why? Because he has all authority. Okay, I'll just leave that one right there. I was going to say something, but I said no. Okay, God, let me go continue. And the king communed with them, and among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king. What does that mean? Therefore stood they before the king. The king, in his conversation, they all communed. That's what commune is. Commune is part of the word communication. Right? So when they say, oh, let's commune, it's about fellowship. It's about, reading the room and reading people and listening to people and hearing how they talk, how they articulating things. And, and kings, they're not kings because some kings are really wise. Some kings are smart, they're intelligent. They know what they're looking for, right? Why else would you be king if you're the Dumbo? I don't know. Anyway, I use those words just to make a point, right? I'm not calling anybody down. I'm just making a point. The king that's why he's a king. At least he's supposed to be wise and intelligent and in the know in some things. So, they communed with the king. But remember, God gave these 4 boys, gave them knowledge. God gave them knowledge. They didn't, even if they went and read books, even if they already had all this information or whatever, the written narrative made the point to say God is the one was behind the knowledge that they had. Okay? And when they communed with Nebuchadnezzar realized, wait a second, ain't nobody matching up, ain't nobody equal to these 4, I like that. You know what? Everybody else go. Let's see these 4 here, you all stay. This is the 4 that he chose. These 4, Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Why? Because God gave them knowledge. God is the one who authorized this kind of a thing, put them in place. And the king, verse 19, communed with them. And among them all was found none. Right? We read that already. And they stood before the king. That means they continued to stand. The king continued to seek their advice. The king continued to seek the wisdom. The king continued to commune or to communicate with them. And in every matter of wisdom and understanding concerning, verse 20, concerning which the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians, all the enchanters that were in his realm. Now, what was in this king's realm? Look at the people who was in the realm. Did you miss that? Did you miss that? Look at the people who would stand before the king. Magicians, enchanters, and the list goes on in chapter 2. Right? And we're going to cover some of them. But we're going on. And Daniel continued even unto the first day of King Cyrus, which is another king. Right? I think Nebuchadnezzar's son or something. Can't remember. Anyway, let's go. Daniel chapter 2. We're in chapter 2. What? We got to chapter 2. Woo, we got there. And in the 2nd year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed a dream, and his spirit was troubled, and his sleep went from him. And the king who just spoke to 4 people, who we just heard the narrative, the king was so impressed with them that these 4 men stood before the king continually, right? That's what to commune with somebody means. But remember where the king is and who he is and who he worships and how he worships. See, you can't forget that, because that's part of who he is. Then the king commanded to call Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Nope. That's not what verse 2 says. The king commanded to call the magicians, the enchanters, the sorcerers, the Chaldeans, the witchcraft people, the witches, Lucifer, who else? A Hellboy, who else? Spider-Man, Superman, who else? Wonder Woman. I'm being fishy. I'm being funny, okay? Instead of the king called Daniel and his 3 boys, he called the people who he used to. That's what he is. So those old people, do you hear what I'm saying? He know nothing about what Daniel, all that stuff. He heard them, and as a king, he was very impressed. But when it comes to his matters, that's not who he's first going to call. He's going to call what he's familiar with, the familiar spirits, the psychics, the tarot readers, the people who flip the cards over and say, this card means this and that card means that. That's who he called. And the king said unto them, I have a dream, and my spirit is troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in the Syrian language. They ain't talking. Anyway, O king, live forever. Better pay your respects, okay? O king, live forever. Bend the knee, like what's the girl name in Game of Thrones? Daenerys. You better bend the knee. I remember the scene when John first went to her, and I'm very, the people, the dead people come in, and I need help, and okay, as long as you bend the knee, I'll give you. I know she was focused on. You come here to bend the knee then. I don't want to hear nothing until you bend the knee. Oh, God. Listen, people. Listen, you got to enjoy life, man. Life is sweet, boy, I tell you. It is hilarious. You got to bend the knee. So, that's their way of bending the knee. Oh, king, live forever. Right? Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. Verse 4, Daniel chapter 2, verse 4. Right? We're going in verse 5. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, I want you to hear this, right? These are the king's men. All the king's horses and all the king's men. They couldn't put Humpty back together. These are the king's men. Listen to what the king is about to say. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me. If you make not known unto me the dream and the interpretation thereof. Let me read that again. Remember, we are talking about the king. The thing is gone from me. If you do not make known unto me the dream and the interpretation thereof, you shall be cut into pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. What? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Now, this is simple thing. There is no phenomenality in this story. That's a word I just made up again. Phenomenality. There is nothing phenomenal about this little statement. Nothing phenomenal about the story here. But the fact is, the king is in absolute control of his kingdom. And he could do whatever he chooses. And when we assign people these positions, if they are ungodly, then what do you expect them to declare? Ungodly things. Look at what he just said to his own people. He dreamed a dream. He can't remember it. And he wants somebody else to come, not just tell him the dream, but interpret the dream. Now, what kind of gall this king has? He's got some chutzpah. This king, I'm telling you. But it's, hey, he's a king, right? What are you going to tell the king? Come on, king. You can't ask that. That's crazy talk. You can't talk to the king like that. He'd cut your head off there and then. And get another magician to take your place. You see what I'm saying? We are talking about rules and laws. We are talking about teaching, prophecy, CY, foretelling, prophecy, SY. In today, we're talking about it today. Who is in charge of your city or your neighborhood or your state senate or your state or your government? Who is in charge? Who have money? What these money people saying? The people with money. What their children doing? Huh? Those are the mighty men. That's why God was pissed off in Genesis 6. That's why he was pissed off. Because men love darkness. They ain't care about nothing what he said. They're going to just do what they want to do. The king made a decree. If you all don't tell me what my dream is, and you can't tell me the interpretation, I'll cut you to pieces, and your houses will become a dunghill. Don't even talk about if you have children, okay? Verse 6. Daniel chapter 2, verse 6. But if you show the dream and the interpretation thereof, you shall receive of me gifts, rewards, and great honor. Therefore, which of them two deals is a better deal? Huh? What are you on? What deal you going for? Which deal are you gonna go for? You want to be cut into pieces and maybe your family and your house is gonna be turned into a dunghill? Or you want to get all the money and the suitcase with the $1 million cash and all that good stuff? Which deal you going for? See, that's the question at hand. Which law are you going to follow? Which instruction drawing you? Verse 7. See, they're thinking now, they're smart. Verse 7. They answered the second time and said, let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. So they're still wiggling the way, right? They're wiggling the way around. Wait, this thing sounds dreadful. Oh God, come on. Let's get some skill. Let's get some wisdom up in here. What can we do? Give us something, O king. Give us something. Tell us the dream. We're going to do the other part. Verse 8. The king answered and said, see, the king is not stupid. You think he'll hear? Listen. The king answered and said, I know of a certainty that you would gain time. The king said, you're all trying to buy time. You're all trying to trick me. Because you see the thing is gone from me. I just said to you, I can't remember the dream. Why are you telling me to tell you the dream? If I tell you I can't remember it. Who's the king in here, by the way? Me. So if I tell you I don't remember the dream, you calling me a liar? I'm telling you. Listen, man, listen. And let me say this again, okay? The joy that you can get in the simplicity of God's word is so amazing. I can't even begin to tell you. I tried to explain to my friend, I was talking on the phone last night with two of my buddies, and I'm trying to explain to them, and I still don't think that I did a good job. Because you can't explain it. It is phenomenal. When you look at the simplicity. Verse 9. He goes back again, right? Because he is the king. He is the lawmaker, the lawgiver. Everything he say out his mouth, if he say, bring that woman, David did it. David did it. We talk about that. He was supposed to be at war and he didn't. He wanted to stay home and chill out. And he stayed home and he chilled out. And while he was chilling out, he looked out his balcony and he saw the fine Bathsheba. Oh my God, he saw this fine. And guess what? He the king. He is the king. Bring her to me because I am the king. I can do what I want to do. That's the perception of the king. So he goes back. This king here we're talking about goes back into his mode, okay, into his kingly mood. Verse 9. After he done scold him and say, you're all buying time. You know the thing is gone for me. But if you do not make known to me the dream, there is but one law for you. Again, I cannot emphasize this. I don't know how much more I can, because it's either your law or God's law. It's either God's law or somebody else's law. But there is going to be a rule. There's going to be a law. There's going to be some instruction that must happen. I don't know how else to emphasize it, people. And I'm just begging, and I'm just crying out with the voice in the wilderness saying, hear the rule, the law, and the instruction of Jehovah, and follow his rule. He says that if you don't tell me this dream, I am going to decree, I'm going to make a decree or make a law, and that one law is going to be just for your butts. It's going to be for your behinds. For you have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me. Really? A king who is worshiping false gods is accusing magicians, sorcerers, liars, enchanters, all liars. He's accusing them of lying. Hey, listen, you can't make this up. You cannot. I'll say it again. This king, worshiping false gods, have in his council magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, liars, cheats, wizards, witches, warlocks. Those are the people he has in his council. And he is accusing these people of lying and corruption. Really? Oh my goodness. Listen, you cannot make that up. No way, no how. He said, you're creating these lying and corrupt words to speak before me until the time be changed. Therefore, tell me the dream, and I shall know that you can show the interpretation thereof. And listen to Chaldeans. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man. Let me put that in layman's terms. There is not a human being, O king, upon the earth that can do that. The Chaldeans know the truth. They know the truth, and they now begin to tell the king, there is not a human being upon the earth that can show the king's matter. For as much as no king, no lord or ruler has asked such a thing of any magician or enchanter or sorcerer or witch or warlock or psychic or Chaldean or however you want to call it. You could throw in all kinds of words in there. That's what I'm doing. Okay? No king before you has ever asked anybody to do such a thing. It's impossible. What did Yeshua say? With man, it's impossible. But is anything too hard for God? Listen, people, I can't help it. Is anything too hard for the Creator? He made everything. He knows everything. And He knows everybody. It is not hard for Him. It's not impossible. The Chaldeans saying, there is not one human being, and there is not a human being outside of the human being that God is gonna work with. Could be you today. As a matter of fact, it's the same Daniel later on in the book said that they who know their God will do great exploits. So the Chaldeans say, come on, man. Come on, Mr. President. There's no human being that can do this. This is an impossible task that you were asking us. Verse 11. It is a rare thing that the king requires, and there is no other that can show it before the king except the gods. You see how they are? Except the gods, small g's, gods. Because their perception in the land of Chaldee where they lived, they had a God for everything. A God for the day, a God for the night, a God for the water, a God for the girls, a God for the guys, a God for children, a God for the crops, a God for the animals, a God for the sheep, a God for the goat, a God for the cow, all kinds of one God over every entity, a God for the water. He said only the gods can reveal this thing, and the gods don't dwell among flesh. See, these people don't know the Creator who created us in His image and who is dwelling with us even today as I speak. They don't know that God. They're pointing to all their false gods that they're pointing to. You think the king cares? Remember, he is the king. People, get this point. Verse 8. No, wait. No, we passed verse 8, sorry. Verse 12. For this cause the king was made angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. Again, I cannot say this more. Let me drink some water. He is the king. The precept, the concept of a king is to have dominion in his kingdom. He rules as a one-man show. Whatever he says, he does. Okay? Now, is that the best way to do things? No. If you're a human king, it's good to have people that you could talk to and explain things and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. This is what I want to accomplish. How can we do this? If the king is evil, if he's perpetuating evil things, and there are evil people around him, then those evil things are going to be perpetuated. And eventually, the laws and the rules of the kingdom will be evil. And that's the point I'm making. Whose king do you give honor to? Whose rules and laws do you pay homage to? Whose rules and laws do you advocate for? Do you advocate for the rules and laws of the colorful flag? Do you advocate rules and laws that people perpetuate where, I don't want to be this today, I want to be that. I don't want to be that tomorrow, I want to be this. I don't want to be male no more. I don't want to be male nor female. Call me him. Don't even call me him. Call me they. Call me it. Whose rules and laws are you perpetuating? Are you supporting? Are you endorsing? Are you funding? God's? Because if it's not God's, it's against God. And if the rules and laws are upright, they are going to be, you can draw a thread from that upright law that we create as human beings into the upright law of God. It's going to be a thread that's going to be threaded all the way through. So the king was very angry and furious because he's the king and he can't get his way. He can't get his dream told and he can't get the interpretation. He's pissed off. So he's going off the deep end. And he commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. Not just those in front of him. All. Not just these few in front of him. All of them. Just go through the country and tear them loose. So the decree went forth. Verse 13. So the decree went forth, and the wise men were to be slain. And they sought Daniel and his companions to be slain also. Because guess what? Daniel was part of the council. Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. They were all part of them. So they were in the line of fire. Uh-oh. I'm getting ready to close. I'm looking for some notes. Here it is. People in power can and will at some point sometimes think they can do what they want. This is the dangerous concept, right? Because you're in authority. And if you don't recognize that over you there is some other authority, not another human authority, if you don't recognize that there's a superior authority over you, as in God the superior, your leadership is going to be in jeopardy. The kind of leader you become will be in jeopardy. It's crucial when it comes to supporting them or not supporting them, and how you or we go about showing that support. Because if that leader doesn't recognize the authority of God, that puts them automatically against God, and they're going to go that way. And if you don't recognize that, then you're going to support whatever they're trying to bring to pass. So this is not about flesh and blood. This is about power and authority. This is about rules and regulations and laws. This is about order and chaos. This is about what do you support? It's about rules and how those rules come to be. We just read Daniel. Daniel said, I don't want to defile myself with the king's bribes. I don't want to defile myself. I want to uphold God's rule, God's law. I don't want to be tainted with money, with the corruption of the world, with the love of the world. Because if you love the world, you are an enemy of God. Regardless, however, you and I must decide how we are to choose and what we must do to stand after having done all to stand. How do you continue to stand? It's not, that's why Paul said it's not about flesh and blood. No, that's not what it's about. It's not about black or white. That is not what it's about. It's about what these people are trying to perpetuate. What this black man is trying, what rule, what law is he following? What is he trying to perpetuate as a leader in his community? The white person, the green, whatever color you are. Listen, people, stop falling for the okie doke. They're pulling the blinders over your eyes so that you don't see the truth. The darkness will cover the light so you don't. The light is there, but you can't see the light. But the minute the light goes on, the darkness disappears. The darkness goes to the extremities of the light and waits for the light to go out. You are the light of the world, Yeshua said. Well, he was the light of the world. And the psalmist says, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my pathway. thy word, thy voice, thy commands, thy Torah. I love. I live in them. I dream about them. I talk about them. I meditate in them day and night. His word is his rule. It's the rule for humanity. If we don't uphold them, if we don't uplift them, if we don't meditate on them, we're gonna follow somebody else's rules and laws. And unfortunately, if you're not supporting his rules and laws, you're gonna be against him. You're gonna be supporting somebody else's rules and laws, and you're gonna be drawn away from him. I don't care how they dress, I don't care how they look, how sweet they are, how big, listen, it doesn't matter how much money they have. What are they drawing you away to? What are they luring you toward? Amen? That's what it is. It's a luring away from the rule of God into somebody else's rule, to somebody else's law, into somebody else's instruction. And you don't have to take my word for it. But I'm going to say it nonetheless. I hope that you hear. I hope that something in you is like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Ooh, oh, and I hope, but that's all I can do. Because I'm not going to control you. I'm trying to let another one control you. I want us to come together under the auspices of the supreme authority, the only wise God, to whom belong power, authority, and glory, wisdom forever and ever. That's it. I hope something was said. We're gonna continue. This is an unending thing. There's no way I could say that I'm going to end this today or tomorrow or the next time, because listen, this topic, it's ongoing, and I could use every page of the written narrative to demonstrate what God is trying to say. Right? I'm trying to avoid jumping all over the Bible. I like to stick with a story and just unearth the story till every seed, every piece of dirt, every little bit of dust is unearthed, that you could see up under everything, that it's clean. It's amazing. The mentality of a king. And our king, he's the only righteous one. He's the only righteous king. Turn with me to Numbers chapter 6. In closing. God. Numbers chapter 6 and 22. Numbers chapter 6, verse 22. This, if you just read through this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 verses, this is phenomenal statement. It's so awesome. Just hearing the words. God is teaching the high priest and his heirs how to put his name, God's name, upon people. And God promises, when he looks upon the people and sees his name upon them, he's going to bless these people. It's a phenomenal, I can't explain. Listen, just hear it. This is how I want to close all my sessions, with these words. Number 6 and 22 and follows and onwards reads as follows. And Jehovah spoke unto Moses saying, Speak unto Aaron and to his sons, saying, In this way you shall bless the children of Israel. You shall say to them, Jehovah bless you and keep you. Jehovah make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Jehovah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. So they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Until next time, Shavua Tov, Bonne nuit, Shalom, Adios, Arrivederci, Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches. Peace.